Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon to the people. And welcome everyone to this session today that we have. I'm pretty excited joining us today. As we have been doing these series of webinars for the past, I think, probably 2 quarters now. We try to do at least one every quarter. And the theme has been around AI. We did one on healthcare, then we did one on finance. And today's topic is amazing about real estate and the overall dynamics that we are seeing in the industry and the country. I think the real estate is going to be picking up the pace with the AI, and it kind of becomes an amazing topic to discuss today. Joining with me today, I have two amazing guests, and we'll be talking about AI and its usage in real estate market in the years to come. And we'll also have a bit of glimpse about how AI has evolved in these years in the past. So some introductions. I'll probably give mic to both my speakers one by one, starting with me. I'll be coordinating and doing the session today along with these two guests that I have, amazing people. My name is Hemant Madan, and I am the founder and CEO of Jump Growth. We are a digital solutions providing company based out of Dallas, a total team of around 100 people spread across India and US. We've been doing this for the past 20 years, and what we do is we help people with software development services, especially to startups and to enterprise teams who want to innovate through great customer experience and amazing applications that they want to build. We've been doing this for the past 20 years, so hit me up for anything around application development. Do a lot of work in AI, so whatever value I can add to your journey, we'll be very happy to help. And along with me, I have Chris, who is a CIO with Metro MLS. Chris, would you like to probably give a small introduction about you, and then we'll take it from there? Chris, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm Chris Lembrow from beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Metro MLS. We are the multiple listing service for southeastern Wisconsin. About 90% of the real estate transactions in our state go through our service. We are a sort of a data warehouse as well as a compliance division to make sure that information from real estate practitioners is as accurate as can be, and that we provide efficient use for them in their day-to-day usage. So that's pretty much in a nutshell. 25 years in the industry, and really excited about AI. It's just, when you think of real estate, you don't really think of technology right away. Maybe you don't, but believe it or not, it makes its way into my world each and every time, and AI is no different. So.
Well, welcome, Chris. Thank you. Really, really excited to have you on the panel today. We would love to see and talk a little bit about and learn together on AI. Very excited. Well, the next guest I have is Gabe. He's a CTO with DealEstate.ai. Gabe, over to you, please, if you'd like to give your introduction, please.
Sure. Sunny Florida here. I'm a CTO and also serve as a consultant and a board member for DealEstate.ai and Infinite Capital. We specialize and we pride ourselves in the I guess non-traditional way of thinking as far as real estate and AI and tech. And as you're very right, Chris. This is this industry is being long due as far as implementing and integrating new tech. So we took it upon ourselves to kind of tackle three main components of that, whether it's going to be the scouting of new deals, where MLS is an aggregator of data, for instance. But then again, there's really a lot more components as far as predictive analysis and understanding what would the market predict as far as moving forward, understanding how do we underwrite the financial modeling, how do we come up with the right financial modeling when it comes to underwriting and really going into the deep end of understanding the finance side. And the last components, which tends to be overlooked, which is the tenant side, which is the paying customers, so to speak, right? So without the paying customers, there's not really components of revenue stream. This particular components is tend to be overlooked and I guess taken for granted, so to speak, in a matter that we think that people needs a place to live, people needs a place to rent and have their businesses. So we take it for granted. So we took it upon ourselves to really foster that component, that avenue of the community side, and really enhancing that portion. And providing the customers is like any other space, providing the customers the tech that they need, given that most of the renters are 35s and below, so 35-year-old and below, so they're also susceptible to tech, but then again, tech is not being offered. So this is what we take it upon ourselves to do, and we're doing, and I'll present it later on.
Wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, Gabe. Welcome to the panel, and pretty excited to have you as well. Um, just a few items for everybody who are joining us. We will be having a Q&A session in the end. So I would really invite everybody to put on the questions in the chat, where I'll pick up in the end for us to answer, and whatever value we can bring to you in today's session. And that being said, I will start with a bit of slides from my side, talking a little bit about AI, how it has changed and evolved in the years. With my first slide that I'd like to cover about short history. So lot of people that I speak to these days, and when I speak to especially the youngsters, they are only aware about chat GPTs of the world and the LLMs of the world. People have not they've not really heard anything about AI and LLM or things about AI before ChatGPT. ChatGPT has to be given complete credit for this explosion that we have seen since 2022 in AI. But believe it or not, AI actually started being a thing all the way since 1950, when the term started given by a mathematician called Alan Turing. Mr. Turing said that if if a machine can start talking like humans, where the humans are not able to identify whether they're talking to a human or they're talking to an intelligence, that's what we call as a Turing test today. And all the LLMs or all the AI that we're building, they're all envisioning and they're all trying to become and pass that Turing test as they move forward. And since then, things have evolved a lot. Right from the virtual assistants that we've got from Siri with Apple. Then we had Alexa that changed a lot of things for us. And then finally ChatGPT, which has changed the overall game, and everything is just exploded after that. Excuse me. Talking about AI, it's also very important to understand what really is AI. I mean, it's a term which I've seen being used and misused by a lot of people over here and there. So for understanding about what AI is, we can compare the artificial intelligence to the human intelligence as well. If we talk about human intelligence, what we've seen, our intelligence right from our very young age, what happens is, as we try to acquire new skills, we're always encountering new problems. And with those new problems, they kind of become the inputs to our skills and our mind, using which we can then learn from those problems on how we handle those problems, or we learn from the experiences from others that we talk to, and all that kind of becomes the core discipline in our human brain, using which we speculate. And then for the future, then we go ahead and we tackle newer problems with that data that we have collaborated on, or we have already learned from, or the experiences that we have learned from. When scientists and the computer scientists started working, they started thinking while building the artificial intelligence on the similar model. But in this case, the experiences kind of became historical data. So when we talk about AI, we all talk about models, we all talk about a lot of data, mathematics around it. So what started happening was this data that we have been accumulating in different industries in different areas has now been used using certain mathematical models to be able to predict newer results using that model that can be created. So consider it like you are creating kind of an intelligent software or intelligent model, as we call it, on the basis of historical data, giving these patterns to that model, which can now be saved as a file on the system. and it can be executed whenever it is required on the new data. So when we talk about chat GPT, or when we talk about the newer AI LLM models that we see, it's precisely doing that. It has learned from all the data, all the language, all the different uh, the knowledge that was available on internet, and with the explosion of internet and the domain knowledge that it could grasp, it has identified all that, created certain neural networks internally, and then that is how a model is created, using which then we give the new data when we chat with it. It bases it off with the historical data that is already learned, and then starts producing the results almost as if you're talking to a human brain. That's what is happening in the background when we're interacting with an LLM, or when we're interacting with a model. And there are other use cases as well, which we will talk about today in the later slides. Learning a little bit about the adoption, I think, as I said, before 2017, AI was there, but it was very low adoption by then. It is only after 2022 and 2023 we have seen the adoption shoot up all the way to 72% of the companies today starting to use some sort of an AI, be it models, be it generative AI, different forms of AI. And if you have to see the department-wise adoption, this is through a survey that was done by McKinsey in 2024. So the leading department across all the organizations that they read is marketing and sales, leading after that product, then IT, then all the other corporate functions, as you can see over there. Now, today we are talking about real estate as an industry, and as we see on the right side, the real estate is coming up with, and as Chris said, that real estate is not an industry which is like leading technology from the front mostly, but it's getting there. I think if you see the adoption in the next 6 months, this actually happened in June 2024 from Goldman Sachs, and they made the survey. As you can see, real estate is way up there. It's almost like, if I see non-technology industries, it's pretty much third on that line of the industries that are acquiring and outpacing adoption of AI in their usage on day-to-day life and day-to-day operations. So huge potential coming up in real estate as well. I wanted to touch a little bit about how is AI helping today. What are the things that the AI is being used in across different functions and across different industries? The most obvious that we have all been interacting with is the customer service and support. We've all, dialed the numbers, we've seen and we've talked to AIs on the other side, or we have chatted on those chatbots which are available on the websites, right from Priceline to all the companies today. There is almost, and I was reading it somewhere, that almost by, I think by 2030, it was said that 98% of all the chatbots will always start with an LLM based, AI based customer service support starting thing, ranging from Bank of America to Priceline. Pretty much all the companies today are using that AI and the chatbot functionality already. Um, Marketing teams are using a lot of AI as well, as we saw in the previous slide. So recommendations in marketing, what kind of social media should we be posting? What kind of marketing campaigns should we be running? Customer segmentation, we're using AI, and the companies are using AI in that. There was a big upswing for RPA, which is robotic process automation, where it is already being used to automate certain mundane tasks by a lot of companies already in supply chain, in invoicing, in accounting processing and things like that, where there was these excels and excels which were supposed to be read on a daily basis, acquired and then acted on that, which can now be easily automated using these agents of RPA, which has been in process already. Pattern recognition and image processing has changed significantly. Today, it's almost foretaken that we can now literally scan a document and extract the text out of it immediately. Or we've all seen these deepfake images, deepfake videos being created. The most famous one is with this in this elections, the Trump and the way Kamala Harris was they were all put together in a deepfake video. I'm sure we've all seen that. So there is a big upshift, big usage of image processing, generative AI being used in pattern recognition as well. Predictions and forecasting, it's been used. I think Gabe will cover that pretty extensively in his use case today on how they are using predictions and forecasting in their models and what they are doing. Data analysis, I think it's the base of all the AI models that are in existence today, how we are analyzing data and producing insights for the future of AI. So these are the broad level use cases I could bring up for people to start thinking on how AI can be used into their industries or their day-to-day life. I wanted to cover a few use cases in real estate that we have seen as a company, that we have seen, we have done POCs on, or we've also worked on in the real estate business. So, starting with, and this is not a complete comprehensive list, but touching all the broad level use cases which we could think of or we've been working on. Personalized property recommendations, predictive analytics for market trends and property values, automated due diligence, document and content generation for agents, brokers, even the legal documentation can be created using generative AI now. Chatbots, as I covered already, is being used extensively all across in all the industries. Smart home automation, we've all been so used to with Alexa being used as a front face interface to interact with different smart home appliances that everybody has in their homes today. Automated property management tasks where I don't need to really worry about if in case a maintenance needs to be done on any of my equipment or appliances in my property, all that can be automated. Fraud detection in the real estate transactions, this is a big one, and it's going to change the way we interact and we do the transactions as well. AI driven marketing and lead gen. I talk to brokers all the time, and they're always looking to get new ways to do the lead gen for them. And AI is going to change. It's already changing that for them. Immersive virtual property tours. We have actually, I can give you a story. I worked with a company from UK right from 2008 onwards, and we started building these virtual 360 tours. And in those days, it was not even a norm. And it has become a norm today where you can literally go to the property using these virtual property tours yourself without even going physically over there. Optimize building design and construction planning from the construction side of it. We're working right now with a very large construction company from Australia where we are building a platform helping them the building design and optimizing their workforce across different projects that they're working on. So these are certain use cases in real estate. And from here, I would give the mic to our first presenter, along with me, Chris. Would you like to take it forward and talk a little bit about what do you think about AI, how you guys are using in your MLS, and then we can take it from there. So over to you, Chris. Chris, you're on mute. You're on mute, Chris. We can't hear you.
I guess. Yeah, Microsoft Teams and I have a love-hate relationship. Thanks for that comprehensive talk about that. The one thing about AI I just want to add to that, Hima, is that when I think of AI, I think of the famous Steve Jobs speech when he was introducing the personal computer as there was an MIT study done back in the day of the efficient use of animals' resources from point A to point B, and they studied hundreds of different animals and how they use their internal resources to get from point A to point B, and the condor was by far the greatest use of efficiency of any animal. Man was like way up bottom on the list, but then they studied man on a bicycle going from point A to point B. And the results were astounding. They were, 10 times greater than the condor. And the conclusion of that from Steve Jobs' mind was that man can use its ingenuity to enhance its productivity. And that thus was the introduction of the personal computer as an extension for man to kind of expand to areas that they could not physically produce. And I think of that for AI as well. I think AI, when it comes down to its best use at its current state, is definitely an augmentation of our abilities. Helping our workload, helping us achieve greater results, and solve problems that in a more quick, efficient way than we ever could have dreamed of. So that's kind of one of the things. Part of in real estate as well, when we bring it back to my world, we're seeing it in many areas. I mean, the ingredients are here. We have the smart contract and we have cryptocurrency. You know, the ingredients are there for AI to kind of disrupt and take that point A to point B and help streamline, you know, the just a simple process of even purchasing a property in many different ways. And because of that type of ingenuity and possibilities, part of the things that I look at are, you know, how do we help guide these developers out there? Real estate is ripe with startups, incubation systems all over the country. Austin, San Diego, Milwaukee itself is now being recognized as a tech hub. We have an initiative here called 4M. It's an incubator system that matches business ideas with technical, you know, warehouses inside of Milwaukee to bring ideas to fruition. Last year, we gave $10,000 to a group for a brilliant idea on matching renters with rentals in the communities in Milwaukee. National Association of Realtors has a program called Reach that any startup can go and apply for guidance, or anybody can sign up to be a mentor. So, and a lot of these are more and more AI based. The last 2 years they're all just leaning towards the use of these tools. And I think as leaders, we have to figure out better ways to help guide them on these tools. And what you see on your screen right there is something I've kind of been talking about lately. There's a consortium in Europe that is trying to define AI, right? You know, everybody has their own definition of everything, right? AI as well. But I really like this level system that they define. And it takes AI and tries to explain where we're at in history with it. And at the time of this slide, which was probably March of this year, we were at level 1 as kind of a look at AI in our world today. And that's, you know, basically chatbots, you know, the conversational language, of course, the explosion of generative AI and chat GPT, but we're still at level 1 of AI as far as a technology. But as of today, that slide should actually be level 2. ChatGPT had a major release last month. I'm sure everybody knows about that. That brought in what is known as human level problem solving. And when I think of that, I like to use like a plant. You know, you see a plant and you kind of see that it's getting yellow, and you kind of touch its soil. You see that it needs water. You know, and our minds were trained to learn that those types of relations and what will solve it. And the ChatGPT release definitely, some experts out there are saying, has brought us to a level 2 as far as where AI is in our world. Level 3, which the experts are saying is you know 2 to 4 years, is that AI can then take actions. And I think that's probably going to be sooner than 2 to 5 years. So in that scenario, AI would know that the plant needs water and then would know where to get that water and take action and use that water to water the plant. And if there is no water, it would know where to order the water and, you know, stuff like that. Level 4 is really exciting, and that's innovation and AI assisting in innovation. And I see that more in the medical field. I personally believe that the medical field is going to reap all of the major benefits of AI. You know, far surpassing any other industry. But getting to that level where AI can be used to help with innovation is going to be something exciting. Level 5 is a bit scary for me, and it's more of AI running organizations. And some of these experts who have defined this predict that in the next 5 to 10 years. I think of coffee shops. We have a coffee shop in Milwaukee where you can drive through. It's robotics, and it gives you a nice cup of coffee. You don't really deal with a human being, which is sad for me. But I see as that type of business being an AI-run business. If whenever we get to level 5, I think some type of retail type services could easily be absorbed. I think of in my business, when AI can run an organization, you could think of a board of directors that just sketches out a strategic plan with also a budget, hands it over to AI. AI will do all the hiring. AI will do all of the monitoring of employees. AI will take care of all the initiatives. That's level 5. And that's kind of, it seems kind of scary at some point, but you know, I just like to, the way these are defined has really resonated with me personally.
Amazing times ahead.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, and you can kind of get my brain can kind of get crazy on it, like anything. Some of the AI questions to think about, I always talk about in real estate specifically. AI real estate agents, is that the future for home buyers? I think that there are some popular usage right now. Airbnb is using AI to kind of relate at the entry level for consumers. Chatbots have evolved in that company. There's a company called RE Alpha that's working on a buyer side zero commission solution where they can just take an average consumer and help them buy a home, all dealing with AI. I'm not too sure on the monetization of that type of business, but and like I said, this industry, and I think this is what thrives technology to real estate, from Blackberries to blockchain. Real estate's always had it, whatever the cutting edge is. I think part of that is because it's so ripe for startups. It's so ripe for incubators. And that's what we're seeing. There's normally just a jump period, and then things will settle, and we'll start getting into the true benefits of helping that agent workload. Those real estate brokers and agents that have to do things like entering a property and sharing it with others is a laborious task. Well, now we have AI tools that can do it from just an image, at least start a draft just from an image. Saving 2 to 3 hours of manual labor instantly is a huge benefit. That's that whole bicycle Steve Jobs helping with productivity. So we're seeing that a lot. And of course, it brings up some other issues too, as well as, AI recording and some type of privacy issues that I think the industry as well as the country needs to figure out a little bit better. Current AI policy. So part of my thing that I've been championing lately has been advocating for AI policy in real estate before this gets out of hand, right? If you take a look at what's going on in the world, and again, this slide was done probably in June, so it is now October. This is moving fast, people. So don't take it. There may be some modifications, but in the States, we have the executive order, the Biden executive order, which is nice, but it's not a full enforceable AI policy like we see in Europe. Europe is always leading the way, whatever it is, whether it's food, substance, chemicals, whether it's data privacy. And guess what? They're leading the way in AI policy. They are defining the lines for developers like Gabe and his team, and big corporations like Facebook, and what they can do with this new tool. China has a policy that's pretty soon going to require a license to use advanced emerging technology, including AI. So you can imagine that, like in the States, you need a license to practice, being a dentist, right? Or selling real estate, right? Imagine if you now will need a license that's state regulated to use AI in your software development teams. That's pretty strict. And I think that's kind of just shows that that these leaders around the world are realizing the kind of evolving power. We have the Hollywood Union here in the States. Yay, they have their own policy that you can't reuse images without, proper authorization. I mean, that's more of a copyright issue. But I think what would be beneficial if real estate as an organization just define the lines in the sand here, to help developers know what they can and what they shouldn't use AI for. For example, making an offer is something that I don't think AI should ever be allowed to do. And I take that from our history. In 1987, the Wall Street crash, the Black Friday event, which was the worst event since the Depression, was caused by computers having trading with other computers, and there was no filter. There was no proper managing of that technology. Millions of people lost a lot of money. Companies went out of business. And I think just to start things off, having these areas just outlined would be beneficial. And I like have fun too, but sometimes fun comes out of chaos. So this is a little bit of something you may have heard about. These smart college kids always figure things out before anybody else. These guys figured out a way to take the new, the Facebook, I'm not weird, but the facial recognition applications, tack it onto that new Meta glassware. And not only, basically what it does is when you're walking around the street, you can, whoever the person is, it uses facial recognition and the power of AI to search the internet instantly and come back with the name and information about that person. Imagine how powerful that would be walking in, I don't know, downtown New York, and millions of people. And as you walk by them, not only seeing their name, seeing their occupation, seeing, it's extremely dangerous. Of course, this little study that they did has been, it was a POC, and it was a POC to raise awareness of the power of such a tool. So I thought that was pretty astounding. And in our industry, we have a few different areas. I just wanted to outline real quick. I think some of this you did as well. In reeling it into organized real estate and aggregation services and governance services like the MLS, we're starting to look at AI as far as data sources. The MLS is basically a data warehouse of data coming from many different sources. In my case, 1,600 different offices in Milwaukee. That information has to be fact checked, has to be make sure that it's accurate. That's the lifeblood of an MLS. Is you can't get any more accurate than information that comes from us. Now, when that information comes from a human being, that's one thing. When it comes from a research team, that's another. When it comes from AI, sometimes we have to look a little deeper, copyright issues, and that's sort of a pain point. On the flip side, we have compliance teams, and this is helping speed up their world. We've been using AI tools for many years on image recognition. Image recognition can sometimes be debated by software engineers if it's AI or if it's just an algorithm, but it has evolved now, and we're using AI for image recognition to the next level to help enforce our policies as well as local municipality and state legislation. Some of those examples can be just things you can't have in a free market property photo that we're detecting, and on the flip side of that as well, we're using that to help enhance the search. The searchability of a real estate portal is its lifeblood, and to be able to extract information from photos, whether it's counter types, colors, or maybe certain widths of living rooms and whatnot that could easily be detected. A lot of shops are now looking at ways that they can enhance the search. AI can help that search ability and take it to the next level, as well as learning what the user wants before the user even wants it, which is kind of crazy. And then lastly, ETL, which is the process of merging many different information. We take the information from tax sources, we take information from government entities, we take information again from 1,600 brokers, and we merge it all together. That is a very laborious process. We have a team of about 10 that does tax alone. Using AI to kind of enhance and improve that workload is definitely on our radar at the MLS.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for that. I think this was really amazing information, and I think I would love to probably follow this up in a Q&A session. But moving forward, moving it to Gabe, who has an amazing platform that they've built using AI from ground up. Would like to give it to Gabe. Gabe, if you just can please help us with the use case
Sure.
that you've been doing and take it from there. Yeah,
Sure.
please.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. That was quite interesting, actually. Help me kind of pinpoint a little bit on MLS. We definitely need to take it offline because there's some points we can work together on some of the data, especially when it comes to data processing. Because as we all know, AI ML is really about the data and the accuracy of data, so this is really where we have taken the theory into real life problems and try to identify what are the problems that most real estate, especially we took it upon ourselves to tackle the multifamily space. Real estate is a large space, whether it's commercial, office space, residential, multiplexes, and so forth. But we have decided to tackle the multifamily, given that it has the components that we feel has the most advantage as far as data and data processing, and most likely as far as applications, they're related to all three components which I've indicated before, which is the financial modeling, as the scouting, as the actual understanding what the product is, what do you want to buy, and eventually how do we work with the customer. So as you can imagine, we took an approach that that really involves a lot of manual labor in the process of underwriting, and not only in underwriting, in all the real estate side, and really broke it apart to many segments. And I tend to give the example. There in multifamily, there's three different classes. There's an A class, B class, and a C class, right? So um, in essence, if for take any REIT, public REIT, private REIT that will look to invest in these particular assets, they will look at these three classes more or less as with that specific parameters or different variables that might apply in their financial modeling. But in essence, if you take a property, let's say you're in Dallas right now, right? So you have let's say you got 300 doors in Dallas, in DFW, and another 300 doors, which is maybe A class in Houston. These are two different classes, right? Completely different properties. Could be even the same price point, but when you break it down and you go into the deep end, there's a lot more to read. So what we have done is we have really broken it apart, all these classes into subsets and much larger subsets. So every zip codes actually has its own type of classes. So now we have like over 1 million different classes that we look at, and we break it apart. Now we have a major data sources that we can tackle. So but now remember that all of the information, even in MLS, it's all either text, images, PDFs, Excel sheets. It's all outdated, so to speak, right? And from people from a tax perspective. So we look at that and says, okay, how do we get this data? And we apply an AI to kind of expedite the entire process. So we combine traditional data processing, advanced AI for the underwriting, error correction, content extraction, PDF, Excel, all in the process where we are able to reduce the manual efforts, empower the use of AI for this matter. Can you go into the next slide? Okay, so let's tackle for a second the underwriting piece. The underwriting piece is where what one of our really complex processes that it took us quite a while to, even with the warp speeds, so to speak, as far as advanced AI and LLM. There's components that you have to take, like rent roll and T12, and you just you need to read them. There's over 100, maybe 1,000 different variations of different financial modeling that one would use. There's no standard as far as how do you put together your profit and loss or your rent rolls. So you gotta bring up your machine learning into this process where it could actually identify the right data and extract the data into the right parameters and the right variables. And then on top of that, you got to bring the property, all the information about the property, like I said, a subset of that specific property, put them together, and you now have data extraction, data processing, and now you bring in the AI into that. Can you move to the next slide? Which tackles really the process. Now, in our underwriting, models, all you have to do, one would have to do, just upload a T12 rent roll, and 60 seconds later, we're able to come up with a structural type of modeling that is used obviously by AI. That includes predictive analysis. That includes the data processing. That includes the actual P&L and breaking down into the years to come, so to speak, right? So we use both data processing as well as predictive analysis in this portion. So again, it's all into how do we take the data and convert it into actual insight. That's what it's all about. If you can move to the next slide, we can see another example. So this is really what you see here is type of a P&L generated by an AI, right? So I took the historical data. We took the historical data, and based on the historical data and some additional information that we provide to the modeling, whether we want to expand on the capex, or whether we want to increase the rent, at what rate. Now we're able to integrate a lot of data from over 2,600 different sources, whether it's public REITs, whether financial governmental agencies, whatever the data is, and definitely sources like MLS could be, definitely helpful in this processes. We convert it into the data into JSON files, and then we use AI to evaluate the data and come up with these actionable insight and actionable items. You can switch to the next one. We can see that also from, again, we want to give the data, we want to simplify the data, so to speak. So we've created this, as far as visualization, we want to have the user being able to understand how this is going to be breaking out. Again, when you have an OM, right? When you have an operating memorandum, you're looking to raise money for a specific property, then you will need a specific insight. So yes, you can do it yourself, and obviously most would do it manually. But again, we're taking the manual the manual labor into the advanced AI algorithm, where we're able to really come up with something from a time consuming, that definitely is a major component, but also from a data accuracy into that matter. So you can move it to the next slide. This is some of the sample slides that we have. One of the things that we also apply as far as comparables. If one is seeking to acquire a specific property, then one of the things that most likely will be required is let's look at the comps, right? Let's look at what are our competitors are doing, the buildings next door, what's the average rent, what's the occupancy, and so forth. So some of the data is available in these aggregation, as I was saying earlier, and some are not. Some you have to really apply financial and algorithmic type of modeling to predict that. So we've applied both the data processing as well as the prediction side, looking at these comps, aggregating the data, and comparing them into our existing acquisition prospect. So now we have this, how are we as compared to the others? And not only that, the insight comes into a point where we are able to understand what needs to be done. It's not only about, all right, so we have the adjacent building is charging 20% over market rent, and that will be it. But what are the actual insight, or what are the actions that we really have to take in order to match the adjacent property, or even to supersede that? You can go to the next one. This is another layers as far as comparison and understanding. So we have these are all dashboards that we've built as far as understanding. Again, we take it into the thank you for that. We're taking into the account that the more we're able to simplify the data, the better the actions will be. The second part of it is that we've taken is property sourcing. How do we source property? How do we look at properties as far as understanding what type of properties will be available for acquisitions, or actually that has the insight for? So if we look at we took it from two angles, right? One of them is look at investors, right? The investors has a certain parameters that they're looking into investing in, and what are the actual variables for any specific property. So over here, this is just an example of questions that we will pose to investors. Switch to the next one. If you go to the next one, the next slide, and then. This is really where we go out there and based on, let's say, I'm looking for a specific cap rate to a specific market, and then we scout we use crawlers to find the data and data processing as well as image processing, and come up with the properties that will match the investors. If you scroll to the next one, this is an example for instance, of how the data will pop up, right? So once we have a identification both on the investor side as far as the idea of investment, and once we found this, we scout for the sourcing, then we start matching the investors and the properties themselves into what accuracy. So we can see that, and you scroll to the next one. This is just what you see here is just an example of how matching is done from investors, and it's all done with AI. It's all done, like I said, in a split of a second. And at the same time, we're able to also show the comparable rates. So what are the comparables? Here, there's an example. You can see an example of someone is looking to invest $150,000. How they should allocate their resources, what's the allocation process would be across the different properties that we have identified specifically for this investment. So now we're able to kind of help the investors understand as far as his or her allocation into non-correlated assets. So so we can get a very nice portfolio for an investor, not only investing in different assets, but also one that will be non-correlated, as I said, subsets of different assets. Let's go to the next slide. And really in just on the time side, then one of the things that the other components that I was saying is that we believe the most important as far as priority. This is our top priority in understanding how do we look at the tenants, right? How do we look at the customers and the paying customers? Because without the paying customers, there's not really real estate per se. So, and as I was saying earlier, this is one of the overlooked and really taken for granted applications for real estate. So we've developed we say, okay, how do we go about and really, in one end, help the customers, and on the other side, help the investors and the property management into a point where AI will take on a lot of it. But if we look at that really from a point of view of the customers, one of the things that, especially in the apartment buildings, it's community, right? Is belonging to a community, taking part in that. Hence, the name be on the left, right on the left corner. Belonging to a community really is an enhancement to our process. It's really something that will create a personalization side, and this is where we're able to think about it as having Amazon. Amazon has been using AI, Facebook or social media has been using AI for many years. So we have kind of condensed all of these type of modeling into very specific property management type of model, where a community is now able to and have access to different tools, different tech tools, in order to increase the living experience in that. So you can switch to the next one. So what we've done is we have identified weighted interest in different in the tenant's livelihood, whether one is looking for cooking classes or is setting up a club or is inviting a play date, whatever it is. Then we're able to tag them as far as accumulating and aggregating the data. You can move to the next one, setting up the scores. We're setting up scores in each one of them, and then will give us the interest profiling, and then we're able to offer them relevant recommendation also from a property side, from the property management, and really personalize that suggestion to them. So when they open the app, they'll be able to get specific interest of their which is related to them. Same thing after that, of course, and all done automatically as much as possible as far as continuous tracking, dynamic tagging, profile building. It's all portion of this of the AI process. You can switch to the next one. Here you have like an example of how this tenant recommendation is really operating. These are applications, again, it's not on the market, it's used by us, where our tenants get to enjoy really the different type of levels that they get as far as personalization within the property. Now you have a higher satisfaction rate within the property, which ultimately leads into lower retention, higher retention, lower vacancy, and boils down to the NOI, boils down to the bottom line of increasing the non-rentable income. You can switch to the next one. Also, when it comes to the property management, we have taken the side of the property management into automating. If you look at most property management today, except for property management that are that might be using some AI features, a lot of them is done, especially in the B and C classes. A lot of them are being used manually, spreadsheets, different CVS, CSV file, things that are really outdated in a way of management. So we've taken into more of the as far as how do we operate with the tenants? How do we cooperate with the tenants and given an automation process without manual labor? And this just give an example. The property might have some specific offers, whether it's reserved parking or different type of offers that they have. The offers are being offered automatically based on the profile of the tenant's profile. So the combination of both is really where we're able to use AI for this particular application. If you can push to the next slide, we can see also from automation and goal setting from the management. What are we looking as far as occupancy? We're able to same thing as we've done with the underwriting. They upload the T12 rent roll. They now have data that is being looked at from an AI perspective, and provide them with an actionable insight. Right, let's just raise the rent at that specific unit, or this particular tenants might be susceptible to a higher rate, and so forth. So it's all smart insight to the property management side. You can scroll to the next one. I think we're about done. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing. So we're going into performance metrics, operational efficiency, actionable insight. As I was saying, they're all part of this actionable insight. As far as that, you can scroll to the next one. I think we're pretty much done here. Yeah, and that's who we are.
Super awesome, Gabe. I think this was a ton of features. I think, and I've worked with applications, and this is like super awesome. Really, really nice.
Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
I think this leads to a section where we would invite the people in the group, the audience, to put in some questions and answers for us to answer. But I also have a list of some questions that I have put. People are requested to put the questions that they have in the chat. In the meanwhile, I'll probably ask a few questions from my side. Um, and this is a question which I ask everybody whenever I do a panel. So, what is that one aha moment that you got with AI in the past few years? Both of you, Gabe, Chris, if you want to pick that up. Like, like for me, I can tell you the big aha moment when I was like really surprised in a good way was when I saw um, GitHub Copilot generating code automatically by just giving them or giving it some direction, and it would automatically generate multiple lines of code automatically. That was an eye opener, and I was like, man, this is going to change the world after this. Um, have you seen any of such aha moments in your life? What have you seen in the past few years?
Yeah, I think for me, the big aha was when I was able to type in words and turn it into an image. That was amazing. That was my aha moment that really kind of rocked my interest in this.
Yeah, and we've all seen those. Gabe, what about you?
I think
What
the aha moments never stopped. I mean, this is an ongoing process. I mean, this Chris touched upon that as far as the stages, but when Chat GPT was announced and this explosion of subscriptions and the ability that people now realize what AI is really all about, because artificial intelligence was out there, even though it was, like you said, go back to 1965, but nonetheless, this is really, it was in the mainstream. So I think the explosion for me, the big aha moment was the explosion of the receptiveness, actually, of AI features, and how it becomes really so easily accessible in a sense. But I mean, I can tell you, there's not a day goes by that I don't say, "Wow, all right, I haven't seen that coming. This is a new feature." You talked about it a little bit, Chris. You talked about crypto. Crypto is a big thing coming. I mean, if we talk about real estate tokenization, in our app. There's already built in a feature for real estate tokenization. Well, that's going to be the next stage, right? Blockchain and digitization of contract of ownership. So we most likely in the next 4 years, we're going to see a major transfer of ownership in this process using token, and AI is going to play a big role in this process again. So we're not even in the really in the early stages of what AI might or be part of.
Yeah, Gabe, and the other thing with that reminds me of what is being known as the global operating system, where a third of goods and services are now being provided via internet, and I think that's where AI as well is going to excel and take that to another level. But yeah, that was a great point about crypto.
Right.
And I think this is a question which has been asked almost every time, but let me ask that again. What do you feel about job security of humans? Do you think that really AI can change all that? Do you see the droids that are going to be the next real estate agents and showing the properties to humans? Or
I'm gonna
you
I'm
never
gonna
know,
take
maybe.
I'm gonna take the fifth here. So
Okay. He's going to take the 50. He's not going to say anything. Okay. Chris, what about you? What do you feel? Do you think that's going
Uh,
to change
yeah,
everything?
but it's just I don't know. I've been in this industry for 25 years, and there's always been great clouds. There's always been the internet was going to take away real estate agents. Google was going to buy everything. I don't know. I try not to get too excited or too high or too low. There's definitely going to be disruption there, but I think it's going to just change. I don't think it's taking away, but I think it's going to change. Just and the workforce in the future, the digital, we now are known as the digital consumers and the digital workforce. I think we're going to I think we're going to have more fun at work because of AI. But I don't think it's going to be mass, job layoffs. But
Well, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys saw that V robots thing that Elon did recently. And I was telling my wife that if a bot comes into our home and does the dishes for me, I'll be very happy. So I'm glad to leave some jobs. I don't mind those being given to bots. Let's see how that goes.
but you
But yeah,
have
I
you
think
have you have the perfect storm. You have the evolution of robotics, you have the evolution of AI, you have this global operating system. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's all gloom and doom. I think it's more of let's get us to a different level of how our day to day is and our quality of life. I think our quality of life will be great. If I was a taxi driver, I would be worried, right? But I probably would then turn my attention to getting a computer science degree, right?
yeah. So, I mean, I think one challenge that I face, I have a teenager girl, and she when she asked me what kind of career she should be taking, that's a question which I'm not able to answer very easily now because I don't know what kind of careers would be there. Things would be changing for sure. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for those insights.
we do know,
Yeah,
Ahmed, we do know real estate is not going to change. This is really one of the, at least from my point of view, I see real estate is being not being susceptible to tech. It's being for the reason that real estate is a real estate. It's a fundamental. Uh, uh, um, I mean, I took the liberty of calling it a commodity, but if we both know it's not a commodity, but it's really real estate. It's about location. It's about it's about income generating investment vehicle. So all of these is not going to change that much. People still need a place to live, still place to set their office and park their cars. But how this is being applied into the consumer, whether it's going to be the investors or the tenants, as I was saying, that's going to change because real estate by its nature is a real estate. So one of the things that it's I think it's presumptuous to think that tech is going to take on the real estate world. It's brokers, right? So tech has been trying to do that for real estate brokers, and there will be some shift. but I don't see the real estate agents are completely being taken away. Might, I mean, others have done Realty Mogul. One of our team is the founder of Realty Mogul. I mean, the really the idea of data aggregation for the users, really to try to move away from the where there's a middleman, but that it is going to take time, or it's just going to stay as it is. But there's definitely going to be some improvement on the connectivity side. That's where we see that. So that's why I say real estate tokenization is going to take a big role in years. I mean, it is predicted to be $16 trillion market within 4 years. So this definitely something to look for.
And I think I just want to kind of wrap it up with one big question that I have around, I've seen models being developed using data, but, and especially probably for you, Gabe, when you get into a newer company and building technology from ground up, a lot of times this data is not available. What advice would you give to first time founders or startups who are starting, where they are trying to create models but they don't have access to the data to create the models? Is there some suggestion from your side, the data sources which are available in real estate especially, that they can bank on and get the data from or something? So these are just tips for the new first time founders, if you may.
I think data is yes, it is a major component here. Without the data, there's no AI for that matter, especially when it comes to machine learning. But I think it's a bit overrated, especially nowadays. Data is available. You can buy data. You can buy data sets. You can go and build crawlers to get data from public websites, or whether it's going to be relevant, how accurate the data might be. That's why AI is all about. But I think that that shouldn't be a concern if one wants to jump in and tap into the market and build his own AI machine, and go into different application, solve a problem that the real estate has, or any other space for that matter. That shouldn't stop him from going out there, because companies like MLS or Craxi, LoopNet, or it's out there. Yes, the data is private, but at the same time, there's a lot of public data out there. It's just a matter of patience and keeping the eyes on ball, and moving forward. Otherwise, if that prevents someone from doing it, then that's just a shame, because it's really no, I mean, nobody's expecting to put the amount of money and time like Google does, or Facebook, or Meta for that matter. But you can start from scratch with very little data, and build it scale it very fast. So that's my opinion. That's our experience from our end.
Great, thank you for that. Chris, I want to quickly give it to you because you mentioned this earlier that we need some sort of compliances in this country as well around AI, because as we all heard about, AI is as good as data. What about AI biasness? Have you seen things happening around in AI where it can, let's say, not put a strong compliance, but at least see improvement so that AI biasness does not come in the picture, and then we have better AI algorithms? What is your take on that about AI biasness?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's something that as thoughtful leaders we can help guide. It's kind of like giving your child a cell phone. You just hand them a cell phone. You have to help and monitor and help them, guide them through the gotchas that are out there. And I think that's why the policy and good governance is going to help. And if it's by each industry, or if it's by a level of enforcement, like a state level or a federal level, I think that's something we're going to see in our future. It's more complicated in the States because we have, conglomerate corporations that it affects the bottom line, and we have different levels of governments that want to have their say. So I get it why it takes longer here, but I think we're starting to see a little bit more awareness this year more than ever. I see it at IEEE, where I'm an active volunteer for many years, where we're trying to get a governance level on AI work group going. I'm seeing it in real estate, obviously, where we've been championing it with National Association of Realtors, and we hope to have something published in the next couple of months. It's a best practice guide, but I think it's just good leadership that'll help kind of monitor this kind of fire hose of technology, and ultimately, though, I think AI can help. In areas of data cleansing as well too. There's some areas that we're going to benefit from, that I'm seeing a little bit more, and of value every single day. So.
Thank you for that, Chris, and thank you, Gabe. I know we have already been over by 10 minutes. Thank you, both of you, gentlemen, to be here and spending some time with us. It was a great learning for me, and I'm sure and I'm hopeful that everybody else also on the call learned something along with me. Last slide, I just want to give away the contacts that we have, and a small shameless plug. We are running a small offer for people who have these innovative ideas that they want to discuss with a company like us. Maybe we can help you build around AI or whatever. So you can scan this quick QR code, and you can book a 2 hour absolutely free session with us for a design or a requirement workshop, and we can definitely help you. Once again, thank you to both Chris and Gabe. It was really nice chatting with you today, and it's a pleasure knowing you. Let's stay in touch, and if anybody has any questions to all either of us, please feel free to send us an email or hit us on LinkedIn. We'll be very happy to answer and help you out. And thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Great talk.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.